in the Syrian town of Al-Huda over the weekend. Sam Abrahams is the spokesperson for the Syrian Network for Human Rights. He explained to us the events that unfolded in Al-Huda earlier this afternoon. He was speaking from Damascus to one of our producers, Mark Williams.
Heavy shelling from different weapons, invading the city, arresting the people, killed them by field execution, or arresting them. Some of them return killed under torture. Some of them keep arresting and keep torturing them. Invading the houses, then start gathering the children together by knife and by also gangs. After they kill them, they shoot them by the gangs also. Less than 10 years. Who will accept that in 2012? Our reaction, actually, we are totally shocked from this kind of criminality. This actually attack not against the Syrian children, it's this attack against humanity itself. Bashar al-Assad and his criminal security forces and army, those are the source of darkness, of terrorists. After the massacres, he is keep killing and keep ordering his army to killing the people. Day before yesterday, 95 persons have been killed. Yesterday, same scenario. The whole world should hold the responsibility about what's going on in Syria. 49 children killed.
The regime says they're not responsible for the children who were killed. What's your response to that?
He said we didn't kill anyone. He said we don't have any detainees. Sometimes people from inside Syria doing that. Sometimes, from the moon. Sometimes the family killed their children. No one actually believed those people. Those actually become now joke persons. No one believes them actually.
No one in Syria believes that the regime wasn't responsible for this massacre?
No one at all. We cannot deny around 1,000 witnesses. We cannot ignore hundreds of family. They said the Security Council, Bashar al-Assad army, plus Bashar al-Assad himself, plus the Security Council, killed our children. He has only one target actually. He wants the people to be afraid, to stay at home, to leave, follow the regime or the change the regime.
That was Sam Abrahams, a spokesperson for the Syrian Network for Human Rights, speaking with RN Drive's own Mike Williams earlier today via Skype. Now, to add more horror to the situation, if you think it needs any, there have now been unconfirmed reports, have just emerged in the past 24 hours, of a further 41 people being killed in the city of Hama. Now, those of you who are familiar with the history of the region will know the significance of Hama. I mean, this was the site of a very famous massacre in the 1980s. Estimates vary about how many people died, and they vary between figures of, say, 15,000, 17,000 to 40,000. That's the scale of the massacre that we're talking about here. So if you factor that in, a further 41 people reportedly, unconfirmed, having been killed in the last 24 hours, that's an incredibly significant development. Now, joining me to discuss the issue now is Dr. Talal al Mayharni. He's from Building the Syrian State, a group that works with activists in Syria. He joins us from London. Talal, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
One of the things that is a bit befuddling, I think, to a lot of outside observers is that in spite of this continuing news, the Assad regime continues to enjoy some level of support amongst the Syrian population. How do you explain that?
Yes, well, this is why we are still saying that the situation in Syria is so complex. People have some sort of support that actually goes beyond the political support. Some people see that as a matter of survival. Definitely this is a complete illusion, and if you are in Syria and if you are actually imposed by this brainwashing media from the Syrian regime, you will understand perhaps what is happening there.
Is it as simple as that, or are there also sectarian elements to this, and also the fact that the opposition has been behaving in ways that deserve to be condemned?
Well, to be honest, like the violence that we witness by, let's say, the opposition, it basically can be seen as a reaction. It's not the first action. However, there is an escalation, especially in the last 2 days, and I just want to mention not only Hama and that brutal massacre 2 days ago, there was also yesterday shelling in rural areas of Damascus and also rural areas in Idlib, where there was some sort of really unexplained escalation in the last 2 days by the regime forces for some reason. Although in the last few weeks we couldn't stop the killing, but there was significant decrease in the number of victims by the existence of the UN commonitors.
Sure, but at the same time there are reports, which we often don't talk about, particularly in Western media, of opposition groups being fractured but also resorting to torture. Now you can say that that's a reaction to the state, but there's no need to react to the behaviour of the state by resorting to things like torture. So is the problem here not just as simple as the fact we have a brutal regime, but also that we don't have a credible alternative?
Well, I totally agree with you. I think like over the decades, the regime was successful in emptying the political stage in Syria. So we end up actually with no human resources to work in politics, or basically to believe in politics. Leave politics aside, also the way that the opposition basically approached this crisis wasn't really that professional, largely, and some people just were quite emotional in their reaction, not as we want actually to do. And I totally agree with that. And things now start to be more and more complex. It's not just like the brutal regime. You have reactions that are not also that, they are quite violent. And the people who are silent now, they are more silent, although that they are not pro-regime, by the way. They sympathize with the revolution or uprising, but they cannot really be participating actively in it because they think that this is not ours, so we cannot do that.
Okay, just finally,
you can imagine now the situation with people who are really supporters of the regime. They are now more tense.
Okay, just finally before I let you go, we're hearing increasing calls for intervention. The world must intervene, the world must act. What is less clear is precisely what action that's meant to mean. For example, would it mean Western military intervention? What is the solution here?
Well, I think this is really unrealistic, to be honest. Perhaps either the people are, or like people calling for that, are not aware about the complexity of the international community and the Syrian scene, or maybe they know that, but they just ignore it. The problem is that we are pretty sure that this international community will not take anything actually to stop what is going on. As an alternative, we are really stuck in a very, very difficult situation. I don't claim that we have any solution in our pocket. I don't really also think that anyone has a solution in his pocket. I think, the problem now is more complex than what happened, let's say, 1 year ago, when there was some sort of hope. Now, again and again, we think, and we work quite closely with the UN ministers, and we actually did some sort of success, like here and there, but again, like in just burning, and it's like another explosion coming in another place, and it's so difficult to work. The number of people who are believing in such solutions, not reaction. You see, solutions are very few, and most people are just like, consider themselves as victims, and the public sphere is not there in Syria. Nobody actually believes in working in the public sphere. Yeah,
and that's been a problem right across the region. Dr. Talal al Mayharni, we have to leave it there, but I appreciate your time and your honesty.
Okay, thank you very much.
He's from Building